Hey everyone, welcome to another video. Today we're going to talk about the downsides of living in London because I seem to talk about the upsides a lot and it's definitely not all great, and I've been meaning to make this video for a very long time, but I didn't want to like shoot people down or disencourage people, so I've been pretty positive so far. But today we're going to talk about all those bad things, the things that make you not want to live here. Number one is definitely money, because everything is stupidly expensive in London. The UK as a whole is a relatively expensive country, but London just really puts, like, what do you say in English? In Germany we say that puts the crown on it, but I don't really know what you say. It's the cherry on the something? The cherry on something. I don't care. But yes, everything is stupidly expensive, especially flats. I made a video all about money in London. I will link it here, I think. Is it here? I don't know, and below. And rent is definitely the worst thing you have to pay in London. It's stupidly expensive. Then I think going out and drinks are next. So you can always kind of see how expensive a place is by their pint prices. So let's say you're in Newcastle, a pint of beer is usually around £2, £2.50. In London, it's usually around £4.50 to £6. Yes, £6. It can even be more expensive, but that's just kind of normal. £4 to £6 is pretty average. So it's just horrible, and you'll probably find yourself sharing flats for a long time or living in a studio flat. So pretty much no one I know is able to get a mortgage in London, because even the crappiest flats cost like £200,000-300,000 if you wanted to buy it, and they're really small and crappy and fall apart. If you wanted to buy a house, you pretty much look at £1 million, pretty much wherever, especially in zone 1, 2, 3, it's going to be very expensive. So living in London, money is going to be a big concern for you. Money also kind of ties in with point 2, which is flats, and it's just about the kind of quality flats you can get in London. Obviously there is newly renovated places that are really nice, but all over I feel London has some of the crappiest flats there are in the world, like in a developed country kind of thing. So you'll just view flats that just look like they fall apart. They are full of like mice, full of bed bugs, cockroaches. You say it has cracks in the ceiling and like leaks, or the floor is completely crooked, the wallpaper's coming off. It's all completely normal. It's London. Everything is expensive, but everything is kind of crappy flat wise. So that's another thing that's really annoying, because you would think that if you spend that much money you at least get something decent, but not in London. Number 3 is the weather. I also made a whole video about the London weather, coincidentally, which will also be linked here and below. And I said in that video it's actually not that bad, but I think for a lot of people the London weather could be kind of bad. It depends where you come from and what you're used to, but the London weather is kind of grey, often kind of muggy, kind of boring. It doesn't get a load of summer days, it doesn't get a load of winter days, it just kind of gets like the same rain, medium sun, cloud thing. So for some people, I know that weather has a lot to do with their mood, and living in London could make you sadder than usual. It can make you feel a bit worse. It's not necessarily for everyone, so that's definitely a downside as well. Number 4 is that everybody leaves. This is getting ridiculous, but I made a video about how to find friends in London. It'll be linked here and below, and it's just a hard thing about London that it's one of those cities where people usually browse through more than live here, because it's so expensive and you don't get much for your money. It kind of makes sense. So a lot of people will live in London for a few years, but they will never settle, and they will move somewhere else once they kind of get older and want like a family, whatever. So I find it kind of hard to make friends in London, like long-lasting friends that you can be friends with for like 10 years or longer, because people just tend to leave, and it's kind of also hard to make friends anyway because everyone's really busy in London and it's kind of anonymous sometimes, so it can be more difficult to find friends or to meet people than in smaller cities or smaller towns. So if you're kind of shy like me, this could be difficult for you. Obviously, on the other hand, you could have it easier because there's so much going on in London that you can virtually meet people anywhere, but I just feel like for me personally it's kind of hard. Then also point number 5 is that London kind of has a bad rep. I don't know why. I think it's just Southern England. Southern English people just have kind of a bad rap in the north anyway, but whenever I travel outside of London and I tell people I'm from London or I live in London, they're always kind of like, London, because people seem to assume that Londoners think there's something better than other people, like they just think they're the shit or whatever. Like, especially people in Northern England or Scotland usually don't really react well when you tell them that you're from London. I think it's just like with most, like I think Vienna has kind of the same thing, like pretty much everyone in Austria kind of looks at people from Vienna like thinking they're super chic, but they're not. And maybe Paris. I lived with a girl from Lyon before, and she used to say that she hates Parisians because she thinks they're just like so like pushover people and just give the country a bad name. Obviously I love London, I live in London, I'm proud of London, so I don't have a problem with it, but maybe just to warn you, you could just run into people that don't think London's so cool when you say you're from London. And my last point is kind of a cheat because I don't think it's really true, but obviously London is kind of landlocked and it's a huge city. You won't find like nature that much, but that's actually not true because London has so many parks. I think you can actually find a load of nature. I am from a city in Germany as well, but I feel like London did really well in the sense that wherever you go it's kind of green, even though it's an industrialized kind of place. There's just so many places you can go where you feel like you are not in London. Like you could go to like Hampstead Heath or Richmond Park. There's just so many places you can be in a matter of a few minutes, like half an hour or under an hour, let's just say under an hour, and you will feel like you're kind of on holiday somewhere out in the city. So I think that's great, but for some people it might not be enough if you are used to just living at the seaside, which is what I'm used to, but I'm okay with that. You can go to Brighton. You might find that London is maybe a bit too industrial for you, but I think if London is too industrial for you, then you'll have a really hard time living in any city. So this is kind of just like a half point downside of living in London. And I'm sure there is more downsides of living in London, but these are the ones that I can think of. These are the ones that sometimes I think about. But for me, the positives outweigh the negatives, which is why I'll continue living in London. Yeah, I hope this helped you. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.